I'd like us to move to the practical part now and write some code. After this video, we will move on to the theoretical part and try to dig into HTML mechanics. One small but very important disclaimer. In this video, I want to show you what HTML is, but I don't want you to learn it just yet. We will have time for that in the upcoming days. Now I would like you to just watch and open your mind to what I am saying, but without the need to learn yet. Don't expect yourself to remember this just yet. I just want you to get familiar with the HTML notation, and I want to slip some basic information about this technology. So let's start with creating the basic website structure. A website in its basic version is simply a file with HTML extension. So here we are in our code editor. We can see we have our web dev course folder open. Inside we have day 1 and 2 folder. And what we want to do right now is to create an HTML file inside that day 1, 2 folder. So let's do this. We have to remember that if we want to create a file inside that folder, we are not supposed to click with the right mouse button on the column, because then we will create our file outside that folder. But what we need to do right now is to click the right mouse button on that folder and then click new file. So let's name it our first code.html. You can of course name it however you want. Here you can see we have our HTML file opened right here, and here you can see this blinking text cursor right here. So that's a sign we are ready to start writing our code. But before that, I want to show you something. Let's reveal our HTML file in the File Explorer. So I click it, reveal in the Explorer. And now you can see that we can open our HTML file in the browser with no problem. Even though, as you can see, it's a blank website because it's empty at the moment, the browser still managed to open it correctly and interpret it as an HTML file. And how is that even possible? I'll show you in the future. But anyways, let's close this. And the basic website structure should look more or less like this. We are going to create it using Emmet shortcut. So exclamation mark and tab or enter. And you can see a basic website structure on your screen right now. What I want to do now is to decrease those text indents right here. So what I want to do is to click this icon spaces right here. Click indent using spaces. Click 1. That will help me to save some space on my monitor. Let's make some changes. Save our file. And now you can see those indents are smaller right now. Now I'm going to delete some parts of the code to leave us with the minimum basic HTML structure for you to get familiar with. So we don't need this thing right now, or any of this. And I will format our code manually for you just to see it more better and clearly. Let's make some indents right here and right here. So now let's say something about the doctype HTML tag. Our website should always start with this tag. What does it mean? We say to our internet browser, because our whole code is an information to the internet browser, that our HTML file has been created with the latest standards. And we will learn the latest standards in this course. This is information for the browser that is not in any way visible for the users of our website. The next very important thing is the HTML tag. You can see the opening tag and the closing tag, and you have to know that this tag contains the whole structure of our website. All the other tags in our website are nested inside this tag, so that makes the HTML tag the most important. Inside the HTML tag, we always have to put two main tags creating our website structure, and that is the head tag and the body tag. It's similar to the build of a human who also has a head and a body. However, the head tag is an information about our website for the internet browser, and its content is not visible for the users of our website. We can include various information here and import some external files to our website. On the other hand, everything visible for the user is placed in a body tag. All the text, images, and user interface. Now let's delete everything. And let's create it once again. Let's save it. And now, as you can see, Emmet complicated a little bit the structure of our website. But it's completely fine because these information should be included in our website structure. Here you can see that only the thing that is added are those 3 tags in our head element, as you can see, and this attribute in our HTML file, which looked exactly like this, but now we have added this attribute right here. So let's talk about this attribute right here. What this is exactly? It's an attribute for an HTML tag. In HTML language, we can place many different attributes inside the tags, and we will learn everything about them. But for now, let's just explain why we need the language attribute in our HTML file and what it actually does. This attribute informs the browser in which language our website is written. So when the language of the website is different than the language of the browser, your browser will ask you if you want this website to be translated to your browser's language. It's also important information for the search engines when, for example, you want to search the websites only in a certain language. Here you can see a meta tag with the charset attribute. Meta tag is also a piece of information for the browser. In this case, it's about the encoding system used on our website. And here you can see that we have the UTF-8 charset used on our website. UTF-8 is a very popular charset including all English alphabet, but also all local characters from German, Spanish, Italian, Polish, Czech, alphabets, and many more. I split the screen between my code editor and the browser to show you how the encoding system works in a practice. Now I want to paste something in our body tag. These are some popular quotes in different languages. So let's save it to see it in our browser. Let's make it a little bit bigger. And you can see that all local characters from many different languages are displayed properly. And we can see those local characters from different languages because our HTML file uses the UTF-8 character encoding. And it's not even by the meta tag we used right here, but the actual encoding system set in a code editor. We can see our coding system right here, where you can see this UTF-8 sign, and when you click it, you can click reopen with encoding option right here, and choose one of the many encoding systems you can see right here. I must admit I don't know any of it, and you don't have to know it as well. All you have to remember is that UTF-8 is the encoding system you want to use on your projects. Because when we use other encoding system right now, let's use for example this one, you can see already in your code editor that our local signs are not displayed properly. If you save your file, you can see nothing changed in the Google Chrome, even though the modern browsers can manage to display our local signs correctly. The older ones may have problems with it. And you can also see that your local signs might be messed up in your code editor, which is not very comfortable when you create a website in some language. So you don't need to remember any of those encoding systems, which you can see right here. All you need to remember is to always have set your encoding system to UTF-8, which you can see right here at the bottom of your screen. You can see your local signs in the code editor as they should be. And remember to place this meta tag in the head where you can also see charset UTF-8. Let's save it. Everything works fine. What you can also see in this meta tag is that it doesn't have the closing tag. Because when you go to HTML, you can see the opening tag and the closing tag. The same with the head tag, where you can see the opening and the closing. And the same thing with the body tag, where you can see the opening right here and the closing right here. And what you can see with the meta tag is that it doesn't have something like this, where we could have the opening tag and the closing tag. And that's because most of the tags in HTML have opening and closing tags because they have the content in them, like for example our body tag, or other tags inside them, like for example HTML tag. But tags that don't have any content or other tags nested inside them are self-closing and don't need a closing tag. So closing tag would be an error in this example. Is it difficult to recognize which ones are supposed to be closed? No, it's not. Because most of them have opening and closing tags, and the ones that don't are few exceptions. But first of all, you'll be using Emmet shortcuts, and Emmet automatically generates the proper tag format, so you don't have to wonder if it should be self-closing or not. In the previous standard, self-closing tags were written like this, with the slash on the end. It's not an error, and you can see it in many older websites, but it's not recommended today to use it like this. So we are supposed to leave it without any slash at the end. Here you can see a title tag. Now let's change our title to show you where it's visible in our browser. Just like this. And you can see it up right here in a tab in our browser. It's also recognizable by the search engines, so it's very important with the SEO, which is the website's positioning. Our title also shouldn't be too long, so it's best to use a couple keywords important for the search engines and nice to read for the user. So let's change it. For our example, let's call it and we can make it something like this. Let's save it. And you can see our title up right here. And it's a quite okay title for our example. What also you can see in our code editor right now is this meta tag with the name viewport and content with width, device width, and initial scale 1.0. For now, I just want you to know that this meta tag is important if you want your website to be displayed correctly on mobile devices such as tablets and smartphones. So the Emmet shortcuts provides you this meta tag already. So for now you don't have to remember anything of it. Just be sure if you want your website to be displayed correctly on mobile devices, this meta tag should be used in your head tag. Now let's go back to our view. And that's all we will do in our head tag right now. We will be learning about it in the future more. But for now, let's go to our body tag. This way, as I did it, putting the text directly in the body tag right here, it's not a good way to put your text in the body tag. The best way to put your text is to put it in a p tag, which stands for a paragraph. You can create p tag like this, or simpler, just by typing the P and pressing the enter on your keyboard. This is the Emmet shortcut of creating the P tag. So now let's save our file. We can see we have empty P tag. So our website in the browser is also blank. And now I want to show you something that's called Lorem. If we go to our P tag like this, and we will type Lorem word, then press enter, this is what we are going to get. Let's save it. And you can see our text in our browser. Lorem is a Latin text, and it's used in many code editors as a placeholder. Sometimes we need to place a dummy text to see how it looks on our website, and Lorem fits perfectly for that. Now I want to tell you something about the p tag itself. I'll decrease the size of our browser because now it's zoomed. So this is the 100% of the view of our browser. And you can see that p tag looks different in our browser than the text placed directly in the body tag, which we could see previously. You can see our p tag has this font, which is probably Times New Roman. It has 16 pixels by default. This is its font size. You can see it also has a margins right here, which is a free space between the text and the edges of our browser. We can change everything later if we want to, but if we won't change it, the browser has its own default styles, defining how the HTML elements look on our website. All new browsers display these elements also according to the standards, so they will look the same in any browser. We will be learning all about it as well. But for now, as you can see, we have a p tag, as well as we can have other tags. For example, h1. So let's make it. We can just type h1, press tab or enter, and we can place the text inside our h1 tag. Let's save it. And here you can see that our h1 tag looks quite different than our p tag in the browser. It has the same font, but it has different font size. You can see it's bold, and you can see it has larger margins at the top and the bottom of our h1 tag. Now h1 stands for the first degree heading, and it has very important semantic meaning for the search engines. So we should place it only once on our website, and it should contain only the keywords important for us and our website. Because our p tag contains the plain text and may occur multiple times on our website. I assure you it's not so complicated. We will be learning all about it, so don't worry at the moment. Everything will be clear in no time. I want to show you what else you can do in your HTML file. For example, let's place a b tag like this. This is our opening tag. Let's cut this closing tag. And let's put the closing tag right here. So we wrap a piece of our text into the b tag. Let's save our file and see the effect. Here you can see now the fragment of our text, which we put into the b tag, is now bold. So there's the one way you can do it, but basically we don't change the layout of our elements in HTML because we use CSS for that. And we will learn CSS well in this course, but for now, I just want you to see how we can use CSS to change the appearance of our HTML elements. The best way to use CSS is to import separate file with the CSS code that will determine the layout of our website, but we can also write the CSS code in our HTML file. And now I'm going to show you how to do this. We have to go to our head tag right here, and below our title, all we have to do is to place the style tag, just like this. And inside our style tag, we stop to write HTML and start to write CSS code. So we inject our CSS code into our HTML file. Now I'm going to show you how to write your CSS code. First thing you need to do is to place a selector. In our case, it will be our p tag. So you just have to place it like this. So it will refer to our p tag in our HTML. We only have one p tag in our index.html file, but if we leave it like this, only p, it will stand for every p tag in our HTML file. So for now it's okay. The next thing we want to do is to open our curly bracket and close it just like this. We can press enter for the clarity. And now we have to put a property which we want to change. In our example, it will be font size. Just like this. and we want it to have 22 pixels. What you can see right here is the CSS rule, which contains the selector, which is our P element. And inside the curly brackets, we have a property, which we want to change, which is font size in our example, and the value of this property, which in our case is 22 pixels. The property and the value is separate by a colon, and every value should end with the semicolon, just like this. So now let's save our file and see the difference. You can see our font size increased to 22 pixels right now. So this way we override the default style set by the browser, where for example p tag has 16 pixels, and we overrode it with our styles right here, and we said we want our p tag to have 22 pixels of its font size. And we can change many properties, for example color. We can place enter right here and just type color, and we want it to be red. Let's see the difference. Now you can see our p tag is in red color. You can see in our CSS rule, which is between those curly brackets, after every set of property and value, which is separate with the colon, we have semicolon at the end, and that's the way how it's supposed to be done. As I said before, this selector refers to our p tag, but we can easily change it for h1 tag, and then this CSS rule will refer not to our p tag but to our h1 tag. So let's do this. Let's change p for h1. Let's save it. And now you can see our h1 tag has 22 pixels of its font size, and its color is set to red. But if we want our h1 tag and our p tag to be referred by this CSS rule, we can do it as well by putting here comma. So now our CSS rule will refer to our h1 tag and our p tag as well. Let's see it, and you can see it right here. We will be learning all about it, so don't worry if you don't understand it at the moment. I just wanted to show you, to get your eyes familiar with its notation, and to let you know what we can do in CSS and HTML. Now you can see we have some code right now in our project, and as you can see, it all contains in the HTML tag right here. Inside our HTML tag we have the head tag right here, where we have information for the browser, as well as we have the body tag right here, where we have all the content visible for the user, which we can see in our browser right here. The browser reads the code from the top to the bottom many times, paying attention to different information each time. It happens very, very fast. And after that, the website is being rendered and displayed on our screen. Sometimes this process takes a few seconds, because everything has to be downloaded from the server to our computer, and there might be some images or even videos, and it might take some time. Here you can see, when I refresh my website, it happens all in no time. And that's because, first of all, we don't have any assets like videos or images. And second of all, rendering from our local host is much faster than downloading a website from the server, which might be far, far away from our computer. Here you can see also a useful information about the extension of our file right here, where you can see HTML. And when you create another file and call it style CSS, where we are supposed to place our CSS code, you can see this icon now refers to CSS as well. So the Visual Studio Code recognizes the type of our file and colors the syntax differently. Now let's close this. And I think it will be enough for now. We wrote some code in our project, and now you can see how the HTML structure looked like, what we should put into the head tag, what might be in a body tag, what we can place in a style tag, and for now it's all we are supposed to know. So now let's get into some theory.